The program for all people, by young people. You flex, more than talk.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thanks very much for joining us. We'll start off a conversation with our friends who Hope Foundation, telling you about a very family fun event coming up on Sunday, and then at 12:45 thereafter we'll have some open lines. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And the Hope for Today Foundation, Mr. Brent Hydes joins us, and increasingly, I think that the conversations we've been having from the jovial approach to the almost monthly football tournaments, at least in the first 6 or 7 months of the year when we have a holiday,
yes,
to the ongoing path to recovery, to the notion as you shared, we're in this together, there by the grace of God go I, to see the partnerships across the communities, from the corporate support to the individuals who step up, to the recognition that this is something that we must traverse. Some friends who share their walk publicly say that once an addict, always an addict. It's a daily battle, and I think we need to be appreciative. So thank you very much to you, the board, the volunteers, the supporters at Hope for Today.
Absolutely, and it's always a privilege for me to come on board and to come on Radio Cayman and talk about this most delicate subject, and to recognize the fact that we are living in troubling times, and these times we recognize that there's some of us that walk and we live a really healthy lifestyle, and there's some of us that are falling off track, and it's a community effort to help these individuals to become productive members of our community again. And the Hope Foundation plays a major role, and we're happy for all our partners that recognize what we're trying to accomplish as a foundation, and that's to see those that are in our community that are struggling with drug and alcohol addiction. The cycle repeats itself as they continue to not engage in treatment and ended up right back in prison. The Hope Foundation has now become an alternative to the sentencing phase of treatment.
Mike, as Brent has just shared, and as he's always championed publicly, the high level of recidivism is one thing, but there's also the stigma, the challenges that many would have, not only in integrating back into society, but even into their families, and for some to regain that sense of independence when it comes to employment. And from your perspective, we are sympathetic, some of us are empathetic, some of us consciously turn a blind eye because that's them, whoever they are. Brent and I had this conversation many times. I will say, when I hear people say drugs and alcohol, I say, wait a minute, it's just drugs because alcohol is a drug. Mr. Gray gave us a science experiment in school very early on. He took his coffee cup, just his black coffee that he was drinking. He had reserved some, and he put it on the water flea. And I never forget it. The teachers came in with this little vial of something, and it was alcohol. And it was escorted as if it was a biohazard. And he took one little drop and he put it on the other water flea. He was able to examine the effects of caffeine on the water flea, and then the effects of alcohol on another water flea on the microscope, and you saw the impact. So they're drugs in that sense. Why I emphasize that is that I don't think that we appreciate the importance of engaging in discussions about addiction, appreciating the impact that it has on our society, and the willingness we're willing to accept the behavior and practice at certain times from some people in certain settings, and condemn the same very practice from somebody else because of the label or the will and behave online. So maybe Brent, before you jump in, Mike, how do you see events like Sunday, for instance, getting the family to not just be supportive of the work and the funding that was required to assist Hope for Today, but also a community appreciating that over there in that corner, right, at that domino table under the barbecue tent, is a reflection of us. It's society. It's all of us. It's any of us.
All right, pretty much hope. At the end of the day, we all need hope.
Hope, yeah.
Yeah. CAIR, which is pretty much an organization that brings the CAIR community together, right, is trying to emphasize that same situation, trying to bring people together to have that unity, not categorizing who can come or what you can do. This is something that is open pretty much for everybody, regardless of your class, your background, it's just creating a new hope.
Yeah. Build a camaraderie through some level of connectivity.
Right.
And for many of us, we love cars. There's a lady, a gifted artist, phenomenal, mechanic. And Ms. Tiffany, you first off, we still live in a world where we relegate women to certain professions. We see them under the hood of a car, and she can tell you more about it. She can rebuild everything, and you marvel at it. If you see her in the operating theater performing, a life-saving heart bypass or the like, you marvel at it, as opposed to recognizing that an individual, given an opportunity, nurtured and embraced, can succeed irrespective, as you said, of class, of gender, of ethnicity, or even economic status. But still, those are the bridges that divide, as opposed, to opening the gates and allow us to connect. So, Brent, for Sunday in particular,
yes,
tell us about it.
I am very grateful that the Cayman Car Club, the Cayman Motorcycle Club, has come together to assist Hope Foundation in this area. I am extremely grateful for the fact that they recognize what we're actually trying to accomplish. It's so easy for any of us to look at an individual, and you hear me talk about it all the time, and say, go and change your life. Yet that individual has no food, no place to call, no bed to sleep in, no sort of structure as a person or either individual that we want to have as a human being. Once is caught up in substance abuse issues, they lose all of this stuff. So we provide an opportunity for them to come into the program and to look at themselves where they're at and provide an opportunity for them to improve their life. Hope Foundation is working real closely with the Cayman Islands government now, and we help them to establish bank accounts. We help them to establish driver's license. These things that would help them eventually build their self-esteem. And with having the Cayman Car Club, the Cayman Motorcycling Club put on this healthy activity, that's what it is for me. It's a healthy, fun, wholesome activity. You're not showing up to a place where people are going to be drinking and drunk and behaving like what. It's just an afternoon to bring out your family and look around and just have a wholesome, fun evening.
But Mike, with that though, sometimes we don't realize how important it is to offer that perception, at the very least initially, of hope, because we all grasp for something and we gravitate to something. But if that thing is, as Brent shared, is wholesome, if it's family friendly, if it's positive, then it's easier. We recall, I see in the US media, when they gradually moved away from having alcohol and tobacco like sponsors at sporting events,
right?
Because for some reason that seemed to be an obvious disconnect, but the money was driving the whole ethos. So for Sunday, I mean, from your perspective as part of the Kewato Association, what are you saying to the public?
Well, pretty much our aim is to have all the communities that are out there, all the different car communities, have that unity, bring them together so we can have clean fun, right? You have a saying that you lead by example, right? We're trying to set a standard, trying to create some awareness, so that you don't go out and do the things that you're not supposed to do, even though you can't dictate and tell, but you try to push at the events. These are the standards that we would like you to push to your members, right?
So when we come back from the break, I respect that you have a very, very, very pressing schedule today, but take a few more minutes and maybe tell us specifically about the event on Sunday. Not just to wear the Vans and the white fours, but what to expect, what's going to be happening. I think oftentimes, as Brenda alluded to, our community isn't sufficiently engaged with something because we're not sufficiently informed about it. We don't seem to be felt that we've been given an extended invitation to come. And sometimes you just come and you browse as if you were window shopping to appreciate what's there. But sometimes you come actively knowing what to expect, and maybe it's a domino game. You put up a seat and take your 6 love and go home.
Take your
right?
licks.
Take your licks, right? But sometimes you come, what, today is my day. I brought my partner and there's no coding, but I'm going to enjoy it. And if it's a family fun thing, then it brings that sense of cohesiveness as it brings a sense of unity. All right, let's pause. When we come back, we'll tell our folks more about it. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
That might be something more for Mike.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
It's in our name. Fried chicken, it's our thing. Others may try, but we have the original. We put the extra and extra crispy. And our secret in everyone's mouth. So if we want to make the best chicken sandwich, we just need to put our name on it. New Kentucky Chicken Sandwich. An abundant triple-breaded filet, premium mayo and pickles, all in a buttered brioche bun. The best chicken sandwich had to be KFC.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location, ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Attention Caymanian job seekers. Do you want to know what jobs are available right now in the Cayman Islands? See all available jobs listed by occupation in the Jobs Cayman job directory printed in this week's local newspapers. Pick up the newspaper to see all available jobs listed by occupation. Then go to www.work.ky. That's worc.ky to register and apply online.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and in conjunction with the KMI Auto Association and Hope for Today Foundation, there's a Family Fun event coming up Sunday. Brent has together Mike. Well, Mike, through you, tell our listeners specifically where it is, what time, and what it's going to be like.
All right, so KY Auto Association alongside SIMRA, right? We are pretty much facilitating a charity event on the 20th of March in the form of a domino tournament. It is going to be what we dub cutthroat. And the aim is to just raise funds for the foundation. That's the main aim. Alongside that, we're inviting all the car groups to come, clean up your cars, come have them on display, just show your build, that type of situation. We're gonna have some spot prizes, best show car, best rims, different categories, for other people to get involved. It's a family fun day. Bring out the family, come enjoy, looking at some cars, some bikes, cheering on your friend who's playing a domino game, and have some fun. We're going to have a food truck on spot. So refreshments are going to be provided on sale.
And is that a spot stock?
At the spot stock. Yeah.
From what, 11 a.m.?
11 a.m. Registration starts at 11. Came on time. So we try to be...
Came on time. My household, my daddy. 11 o'clock means quarter to. Not quarter past, not 1 minute past. So
all right.
Publicly, actually, that's true, man.
Exactly.
We grew up. We serious about that, boy.
We be on time.
Yeah, boy. You
so
don't know.
We do the registration at that time, and then we follow suit.
Yeah.
And start once we have a set. So it's $25 for entry, right? The rules are going to be explained on site. We're going to have like a little orientation before.
Okay.
And you have the option of re-entering. As I said, it's a charity event. So if you want to enter, if you're out and you want to re-enter again, you have the opportunity to. And all of that funds will be going towards the Hope Foundation.
All right. And I think that's where the community comes together. We all play a part. I mean, there are those of us who see other charities and we can give a donation in kind. We can give cash, we can send something, we can volunteer.
Doing to look at it from a community standpoint. Sometimes it's the foundation obviously needs funds to continue to keep our mission alive. But one of the things that I really look at, and I was talking to Keith and Mike and all of those guys before, is we have to see this for what it is. We need to bring some light on the people in this community that are struggling with substance abuse, and to provide as much education as we can, about the dangers of substance abuse. Many times we have our friends that would offer us things, alcohol, drugs, etc., and they would tell us that it makes us feel good. But what they never will do is to tell us the flip side of that. And if they would start from the flip side, many of us will never fall into the trap of getting engaged in these kind of activities, unhealthy activities as far as using drugs and alcohol. So we're going to try to provide as much information as we can about substance abuse issues and the dangers of it. And I think we're doing a hell of a good thing by providing this activity to provide the community with an opportunity to come out and just have some wholesome fun.
That's the thing. And to Mike's point earlier, I mean, it's a family-friendly event, and across many jurisdictions, we're challenged to find events where there's fellowship socialization without some sort of libation, an alcoholic libation. For whatever reason, we see sporting events, they may not be advertising, but we expect to be able to buy something to imbibe, because for some reason that allows us to enjoy the experience. But what's wrong with a good fish tea and some coconut water? What's wrong with just enjoying the company?
What's wrong with a good piece of fried fish?
With some breadfruit and fritters?
Yes, absolutely.
What's wrong with it? We don't have it now. That's the one problem. Jeez, fine. But that's the thing, right? We're not fellowship. We're not coming together. We're not extending that hand to help and to appreciate that there, but the grace of God go I.
And it goes back to how you started. You're talking about the stigma. Many times I think people have a tendency to separate because of that negative stigma that allows people sometimes to feel not attached but unattached from people that are caught up in substance abuse. So it's easy for me to stay away and be involved and try to be more supportive. But at the event too, we will have Hope Foundation board members and members. They will be on the grounds to educate the community about the work that Hope Foundation does. So if anybody wants any information on what Hope Foundation does and how we provide a level of treatment, that goes with working with the Counseling Center, the Drug Rehabilitation Court, probation. See, we work with all the entities that provides treatment on the island. So we will be there to educate the community on what we do.
Yeah. So, from that perspective, Mike, I mean, there are a lot of car enthusiasts, from those who not just rent it because they do it, some who take the finished product and polish it to showcase it. Then there are those who have put a penchant at some point in time, they want to acquire something that sets them apart in terms of their interest in the hobby. Now, that's the car. Then there's those who put different sounds in it, and they don't get to showcase it where the communities as appreciative. So when you're driving around, people may be frustrated. Here's a time that you can shine, if you so choose, in the setting designed just for that.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's the main focus. So it's your build, your this is all that you have put in. This is your work, right? This is the time to come and showcase it. Let us know, the struggles that you have or had, reaching to this point.
All right. We do have a call online. Brent, Mike, let's join our callers. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Afternoon. How are you?
Fine, and good afternoon to your panel.
Afternoon.
I didn't catch your full conversation, so excuse me for being ignorant to the part of the question that I'm going to ask. I asked this question some time ago. I have a lot of noise there, Sterling. What's going down?
Well, if it was grumbling, suddenly thunder, it might be in my stomach, but that's not what it was. So I'll put it safe.
We should put it with design.
Okay. Oh, that sounds better.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. I just want to ask this question that I asked some time ago, and I hope it can be fit into this conversation. I know what this gentleman is trying to do with the people that boy would say that's on drugs and need something to eat and some way to lay their head. How much of these people is being helped and they have keen to satisfaction that they're back out in the working world and they don't have to rely on you anymore, or are they constantly, I repeat, in your program and your living quarters?
Well, I would have to actually be able to go back into our statistics there to tell you exactly how much, but what I can tell you, just off the top of my head, we have had a resident that's just in the moment of transition out, that is working for one of Cayman's big shopping enterprises. Matter of fact, he's working at Foster's because right now they at the moment are looking to hire 2 more people.
That's
that have came out of our program. We have people that are working for DART. We have people that are basically working at the Western. We have people that are working on a lot of entities on this island. And we're happy to announce that whenever we get someone that we feel fit, that are ready for employment, these individuals are calling for them to come and work for them.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Now,
Hello?
do they go? Yes, can you hear me? I am very happy to hear that. Now, are they having any counseling at any point in time when they're not working to continue to stay in this environment and not to fall back into what they just came out of?
From my experience, these individuals continue to do individual counseling at the counseling center. I think if you were listening a little, like I guess you said you missed it. You said you missed it. We work with all of the entities of government that focuses on rehabilitation. In order for someone to be a part of Hope Foundation program, they must engage at the counseling center, whether they will set up a program maybe at IOP, that's an intensive outpatient program that they have there, or they will have to be working with an individual counselor. These individuals are quite busy in the early stages of entering Hope Foundation program.
It sounds good. So tell me something. These guys that's working out there, do the owners have to give you a report of their conduct on the job while they're on the job? Do they report to you guys, or they just?
Well, personally, that's between the employee and employer. Hope Foundation provides the company with someone that they're willing to employ, and that's basically between the two of them. That's their relationship. I think once the foundation starts getting involved with the person that has hired him, I think it kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. What we do is we do keep touch with the individual by them constantly coming back to meetings and stuff like that. So the foundation is always in touch with whoever the individual may be. But as far as his employee, we allow them to build that relationship between them.
Okay. Well, it sounds good. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks a million. Just had to get that question out there. It's nothing personal. I think I asked this question about 3 years ago.
No, but I mean, let me just say this: if there's something you feel you have to offer, we invite you to be a part of it. If you think you have something you like to offer the program, we wouldn't mind coming by and sharing it.
Yes, sir.
Because it takes all of us to do this.
Yes, I know it does, but to make it continue to give progress is a lot of people concerned. Is the progress that we're looking for in these individuals.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
And you're most welcome. Thank you too. And I guess this is where, Mom, education and awareness, the information exchange helps us. Sunday is a Found Fun Day.
Yes.
Sunday is also a time, as you shared, through the board members, volunteers, and for Hope to be able to get this message, But it's also, for the association to be able to say, in partnership, we can showcase what we have here, but we can also show how, as a community, we can strengthen each other.
And doing story, what we got to remember that it takes all of us, right?
Exactly.
And we provide an opportunity. What Hope for Today Foundation does, we provide an opportunity for an individual to come into the program to better himself.
Mm-hmm.
We put certain things in place for the individual to follow. What my experience of working with several individuals is, they would come into the program and they would do really, really well, get a job, start by building relationship with their families. And she's absolutely right. Many times these individuals would get complacent of the stuff that they were doing that was keeping them sober. Mm-hmm. And that's when we as members of the recovery circle may recognize and see the individual and say, hey, you got to get back with the program. Mm-hmm. And it takes all of us.
Yeah, and it's a consistent, concerted effort. It's not, one and done. So as we close the discussion, Mike, any sort of salient points you want to re-emphasize?
Well, it's a family fun day, right? First and foremost, and the invitation is extended to all, pretty much. Come have some fun, enjoy the cars that are there, enjoy the bikes that are there, come enjoy good cutthroat domino.
Well, we'll hear about it after the break. So, thanks much, man.
Yes, and I would just particularly that call, I would just like to emphasize again, if anybody out there that would like to know more about the foundation, here's an opportunity to come down, speak to the board members, speak to the members that work closely with the foundation. We'll be right there on site, happy to educate anybody that would like to know more about the foundation and the work that we do in the community.
Well, that's 11 a.m. this Sunday at the Sports Talk. We'll make a note to remind our listeners between now and Friday so that people can be aware of it. Thanks very much, all right? Always a pleasure.
Yes.
All right.
To our listeners, we're going to pause, take a short break. When we come back, we'll open the phone lines up with some open line. I want to hear from you. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vant Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrid save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in a hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
New to Cayman, the Cayman Documentary Festival. Real world problems, real world solutions. 5 documentaries, 5 discussion panels. March 16th to the 20th at the Camana Bay Cinema. Documentaries include domestic abuse, environmental protection, mental health awareness, technology and finance, and music and heritage. Tickets available at fanango.com for $25. Funds benefiting Plastic Free Cayman, Crisis Center Cayman, Alex Panton Foundation, NCVO, and Cayman Arts Festival. The Cayman Documentary Festival. Real world problems, real world solutions. March 16th to the 20th at the Camana Bay Cinema.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money. JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use a money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Calling all amateur bakers in the Cayman Islands. Celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Taking part in the Cayman Islands Platinum Cake Competition. His Excellency the Governor Martin Roper invites you to submit your homemade dessert recipe to the Governor's office by April 3rd. Win a chance to have your dessert recreated for the Queen's birthday party in June. Do you have what it bakes? Well, submit today at gov.ky/Jubilee.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It's going to be some open line. Can you believe it? It's Wednesday already. That offer some was It seems to be the same day. It's not like it's that movie was that Chevy Chase, Groundhog Day. For some, they say, why is it that when we have that phrase, that it's the repetition of the same day that was horrible over and over? When on the same day that was just so fantastic that you wish you could repeat it over and over. Well, a good friend this morning, she reminds me that life sometimes, is about making choices and being positive, nurturing and caring, and trying to consider the importance of putting yourself first. We've heard it so often that perhaps it has lost its meaning. The example of putting on your own mask first and then assisting even your child. But for some of us, we have been raised, reared, indoctrinated into a system that we believe that in giving we're selfish, without consciously or recognizing that unconsciously is that we're getting through that we're satisfying some need for validation and the like. Well, it's good that we have givers. It's good that those who receive, appreciate that. If people didn't have someone to give to, they probably wouldn't feel a sense of value and worth and the like. The question is, though, how much love do we have for ourselves? And in trying to fill that void, where are we seeking? That search sometimes yields, great return and reward. And other times, it's just emptiness. Well, we are in a space, in a place where we've seen increasing changes and as a result, growing tensions. We can see the political conflicts, on the global landscape. We can see the growing turmoils within our own homes and communities and even our businesses. But are we cognizant of that internal struggle, those conflicts that wrestle within? Well, I want to share that to ask the question, what are we going to do about it? How do we approach things? We probably could repeat with great accuracy the mantra echoed not long ago, by this concept that sort of shares, be that change that you want to be. But the notion is, what is that change? And how do you measure it? And why should we consider about being the better you and the better self when, if that is a far off sort of concept, why not look at things in a light that as we give love to ourselves, we can see through a better lens what is positive and productive. Hey, let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Mr. Eubanks.
My lady, how are you today? It was so wonderful to hear from you just now.
Thank you. I was going to call you, but I didn't expect to call at that time. But I had that bothered me for a long time.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to ask it and maybe have some discussion on it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What I'm calling in regards to no disrespect to anybody with this plant a tree. This is the time of year to say about plant a tree. And what's the full word for it? What's the full sentence?
Yeah, I should know. This is part of the Queen's Jubilee celebration?
I don't know. I don't know. It's about plant a tree.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the governor plant a tree, him and the premier.
Yeah.
And then I started luncheon on government channel, where Jackie Doe from DART was had this plant in her hand and talking about plant a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Sterling, nothing wrong with that. But Sterling, why are we planting the trees ready to tear them back down to build a building?
Kind of makes you wonder, right?
Makes you wonder. Yeah, definitely. So I'm just curious if all these trees going to be planted during this time now. And I understand that one of the MPs has a ton of I think mahogany trees that they will be planting out sooner or later.
Mm-hmm.
But are these trees going to be marked that they can't be removed regardless of what you may be building or whatever? Whose property is it they're being planted on?
Well,
is it,
we did have a conversation on air not long ago, and initiative is to, plant within the political constituencies, the 19, plant trees in commemoration for the Jubilee celebration. And the idea is, as they pick spaces and places in which to plant, hopefully be a community effort so that the trees, as you shared, are not subject to, being removed when development sort of expands into certain areas. Now, I think they were looking at the initiative of, some of the trees that we know, some of the trees that may not be as really identifiable to many of us, and hopefully in planting those trees that we get a healthier respect for the importance.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry, look at all the mangroves that they're destroying to build on this island. That they said it is so important to this island, these mangroves, or however you pronounce it, But why are we allowing that to be removed to build? I mean, even if the person bought that piece of property, God knows when, and it was full of mangroves, why are they giving them permission to take it all up and put a building when they say the mangroves is good for the weather? I just don't understand why sell it, or why didn't government say, well, you know what, these mangrove trees is very needed here for this baby island, so we will buy that property. You understand? They can't. I don't know. They should be preserved to a degree, even if it's private owned by me. I want to sell it just because the dollar is big. But look at the damage it could bring to our island, weather-wise.
Exactly. And as I listen to you, I mean, as we go into the break, I'm thinking of a couple of things. You asked how you pronounce it. I mean, it's probably spelled mangrove. I don't know about anybody else, but I still look at those mangroves, right? But you are right. And I think as we look at it, there was just a recent press release, maybe an hour ago, if that much, where the government doing a protected area in the Meager Bay Pond. So I'll look at it during the break if I can. But that reminds me of something I saw this week. One of the pond birds, as I call it, scavenging. And is that because in that area where there was some of those bulrush in the ponds and the like, now they're being filled in for development, are those birds now being displaced in their habitat? And
they sure are.
I've never seen one of those birds in my entire life eat a dead chicken. They were scavenging. They were picking on the dead fowl in the road. And if that is something that happens and I just didn't know about it, I wouldn't mind someone, making me better informed. But if that is something that is unusual and unlikely, is this now desperation and adaptation? So
I know it's your break, but I want to think about it while you go to the break. In East End, I saw a sign say, I think it said Parrot Sanctuary in East End. I just want to know where they got parrots to put in there to do a parrot sanctuary for attraction when our parrots are is restricted and have to have a license and yakety yak. But I will leave that with you, and you can talk about that when you come back on your off your break.
Good point. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, let's pause and take this break. When we come back, we invite your calls, and you may want to pick up what the caller was talking about in relative to the environment, or you may want to speak about something else. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service is aware of a video that has been posted to social media that includes explicit and harmful content, including claims of sexual assault. Police are investigating this incident and have identified the individual responsible. Police are working with agency partners to provide appropriate intervention. The RCIPS can confirm that they have found no evidence or information to substantiate the claims made by the individual and ask the public and social media outlets to cease spreading harmful content which may cause unnecessary alarm and distress to the community. In international news, Russia has attacked a theater in Mariupol where civilians have been sheltering, the city's deputy mayor tells the BBC. Between 1,000 and 1,200 people may have been inside. The number of casualties is currently unknown. Mariupol in the south of Ukraine has been encircled by Russian forces, with some 300,000 people trapped with no running water, electricity, or gas. A powerful earthquake has hit northeast Japan, cutting power to 2 million homes and prompting a tsunami advisory for parts of the coast. The magnitude 7.3 tremor struck the same region where a major quake triggered the Fukushima nuclear disaster 11 years ago. In some areas, it was too forceful for people to stand, and buildings rattled in the capital of Tokyo, AFP reports. Aftershocks are possible in Fukushima, Miyagi, and Yamagata prefectures. Ukraine's president invoked the horror of the 2001 terror attacks on the U.S. as he pleaded for more military aid in a historic address to the U.S. Congress. Volodymyr Zelensky said via video link that Ukraine was enduring a 9/11 every day as it battled Russian forces. He again urged the U.S. and NATO allies to enforce a no-fly zone over Ukraine. U.S. President Joe Biden is later set to sign off an extra $800 million U.S. in military aid to Ukraine. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for calling us. It is open line as we go straight to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Sterling Dwayne. How are you doing?
Very blessed, very thankful. And you, sir?
I am awesome.
Amen. Good to hear from you, man.
Yes, man. Always good to listen to you on the radio as well.
Thank you. I try to be the very best I can be. You know?
Be on best behavior.
No, I didn't say that, you know. I don't want to lie publicly, you know what I mean. I try not to do that proud either, but my best behavior, I don't know, boy. Oh, man. Life is about laughter and loving, you know?
We need that.
Indeed.
What I called is the last caller there. I know a very good
Mm-hmm.
the parrot sanction or sanctuary or whatever this called.
Mm-hmm.
The parrots, just to make her know, because I've had the document for some time. I actually lost it a couple of days ago. The parrots are actually in the wild. They're not captured.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have one in Cayman Brac as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're all in the wild. They're not captured, not caged or anything.
Okay, so they don't have any cage. I've seen it. I have not gone there.
Yes, I have not gone there. I've actually watched the video that they've had posted as well in the in the clip that I had.
Mm-hmm.
What they actually do a lot of times is if they find an injured bird, parrot,
mm-hmm.
they will bring it back to say its health and release it in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that was all that was in the the clipping that I had. So it is a good thing because most of the area now, I mean they've bought acres upon acres of land there that they reserve for that purpose, so that nobody can go there and build on it and destroy it and so forth. So,
okay. Well,
and then they have different animals in there. You can go in there and you can see the agoutis and so forth. I mean they're running wild in there.
Yeah, they're those goodies are fairly, I mean, you have to kind of be out and about, but I think in recent times we've seen more and more wildlife.
Migrating somewhere else.
But it's interesting, though, as the caller shared, we know she was referencing the planting of trees, and then we've seen the encroachment of development.
Right.
Yeah.
But, Sterling, we have a new Cayman national bird,
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't announced it yet, but I have. It's the chicken. Nobody touches them.
I've seen a few times in recent weeks large numbers, presumably congregating in certain areas, and presumably, they're there, and people must go and feed them, right?
If you go by where I call it the Old Prospect Road. I think that's the name for it.
By the monument there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you get to the corner, like you're coming back out to the bypass.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness! You remember the old road used to go through behind Dirty there?
Cayman food. Well,
right,
yeah.
Yeah, right in that little
Red Rooster,
open
Red
area
Rabbit.
there.
Yeah.
That's where, especially in the morning. Yeah, man, they feed them there. They bite there I would say by the thousands.
So I've heard. Yeah, I have not seen the large numbers. I did see a smaller number recently just driving through there.
Yeah, they're there all the time, but usually in the mornings, you would say between 7 and 9,
mm-hmm.
you can see sometimes you'll see the person there actually outside feeding them and so forth. Which, I take my hat off to, because, they're still God's creatures too.
Well, that's the thing, it's interesting, right? I know many of us, for different reasons, don't eat certain things, right?
Right.
And someone had shared, and I'm mindful of this, but they were saying that, we were culling, nice euphemism, the green iguana. And whether you subscribe to it or not, and whether you've had it and appreciate how good the meat is or not, and he asked the question, what if this was God's way of providing for a need that you don't even quite realize, that you...
Well, all the creatures are there for a purpose.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
As for the green iguanas,
mm-hmm.
they were not indigenous to Cayman.
Right, right.
And when you bring an exotic pet, because that's what it was at first, into the country, you got to be mindful of what it consumes and so forth. Because at the end of the day, we could all be plantless around here.
Mm-hmm.
For those creatures, because I've seen them, that they've killed my fruit trees. Period.
Yeah, well, they certainly have presented themselves as a nuisance or a pest, as however you want to kindly put it. So much so that the most patient of us probably have become frustrated. And
yeah, the blue iguanas, you would say no threat to
mm-hmm.
to our foliage.
Yeah.
But yes, the green iguanas are.
Well, this is where I find it interesting in the idea of scientists, testing hypothesis specifically, and through documented empirical research, being able to get it. Well, we were once told that, and I did have this conversation with Mr. Fredo over at DOE, just casually one day standing in the line at the bank, many years ago. Those are days you could go into the bank, didn't have to put on a mask, because if you did, they probably think you were coming to rob. And
yeah.
People could talk openly and freely and the like, and those are the good days, right? So we were chatting, and I was asking about the little red dot on the Hecate, because they looked different. I no longer saw the Cayman Hecate that we knew, and he told me this, what he understood it to be, and then I asked him about the iguanas, and he was adamant, the blue iguana and the green iguana were biologically different. They couldn't crossbreed. Presumably, that's not the case.
Well,
huh?
that's not the case. They can. Yeah. It's more difficult to, I guess, but
mm-hmm.
yes, they can.
Yeah.
Also on the Hecate,
mm-hmm.
I haven't seen them in ages.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I saw one of them was when the ponds are there by the airport there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but also on the wearing of the mask, I remember going into a specific bank one day,
mm-hmm.
and I had my mask on, Oh, no, you got to take your mask off. By the following week, there's half. So, you got to put it on. You said you can't come in now unless you put it on. I said, well, last week I came and you told me to take it off. Yeah, but things change.
Man, that's the thing. I mean, I wear my mask every day, and unfortunately, this is the one I got to look at every time I shave.
You know, that's the same thing with me. You know, I look in the mirror sometimes. It says, please take your mask off so I can see your face.
Always good to laugh with you, my friend. Man.
Same here.
All right, you have a wonderful afternoon.
You too.
Thank you. Well, let's pause. No, actually, let's take this next caller before we pause. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Mr. Rambo.
Good, man. How are you?
Sober. Good to go sober today. For I was sober. Yeah, I went job on Monday. Sterling, listen now. Give me 2 minutes now before you break now.
Yeah, man.
I'll wrap it up now. What else, Sterling? Different how I raised up, right? I been against steel, right? Offspring, reprocreation. What happened 4 hours ago? I could have remit. Done my lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever outcome, outplays, I lose no night rest off it. Okay. So then last year now, the Premier and the Governor had parade was start the walk off road, whatever, that festivity. Right? Everybody called it that I knew. See? So the bunch of it now, they have politicians elsewhere in the world, right? Pathological layers. Right? They can interpret, misinterpret the way, right? I don't think even every Cayman they can adapt that to that point too. Because Sterling, you see the top left of your brain, the top part of your brain, right? Your prefrontal cortex. You have rational thoughts now, right? Stop judgment. I don't know if I'm the hard liquor. You feel me? Cause like something about to me. No, I know it's a political strategy when it comes to that the herbs, right? They would decriminalize it. 90% of us said that. Right? I don't think bluffing or political strategy. You feel me? Because Sterling, I don't care who off the radio turn off, right? But listen, some people may say it's a taboo. My tier of it is a dominant signal diaphragm. Simple. Right? I go around with it, rather around it. And this morning I was listening to the mother talking at home, the back of my house. The OC show. I love to call in. The points, the facts, the options about it. Right? I don't do that. I don't lose my back off it. You understand? So I want to know when this part government or the opposition, the joint venture come together and pass the bill with the herb thing. Right? It's a petty thing, Sterling. You feel me? It's petty. So right now, Sterling 5 people know who's arriving 21st. Right? And most of those who's passing this, they call the students, spring break, retiree, right? And they well off, and that's the recreation too, R&R, rest, recreation. You feel me? So I don't know what it's all about. You understand? Yeah, differently.
Yeah, man. But this is where, as I listen to what you're sharing, right, the notion that maybe some of these discussions, as you said before, are we coming from a place of being as exhaustively informed as possible, so that whatever we're doing, we're looking at it. You know, a drug is a drug is a drug, right? Whether it's legalize alcohol and open the doors over a certain age, should that age itself be moved as it is now from 18 to say 21, as we have in certain jurisdictions? Is it a case that the society is more willing to accept the consumption, use, and even abuse of certain things? I mean, take for instance the issue that probably been around for a long time. People go to their physicians, they genuinely have a pain that this medication alleviates, and the doctor fills, prescribes it. It's filled by the pharmacist. The patient manages as possible, but is there an addiction? Is there a dependency on this thing? It may not be something that causes them death, but in the absence of it, it causes them great pain. How are we looking at that level, of need? And are we being as responsive to that as we are to the person who has an addiction to some other thing? So what do we do, my friend? What do we do to make it better?
My whole analysis of it, like a different alcohol is dangerous. It's hard liquor. social liver, your thoughts out of proportion. Okay? Hard liquor. So, mutually, hard liquor, different scenario. With the herbal dose, 95% of people in the island, right, just by the inner circle, right, or whatever, the desired ends of interaction of it, right? So then, it's not hazardous. It is a norm, usually, unless you tamper with it. With other foreign substances, you tamper with it, that don't help, right? And you see, it came on now, we have tendency, like him on call a couple weeks ago. I don't have no local last name. If I have a local last name, but probably a different scenario. Or those people are fighting disagreement with the same whatever called union or whatever they call to the lawyers or whatever. They get more recognized on our parley of it. Which I come from. So the point I'm selling, I am talking about the dependency of it. Because most people that use herbs is a normal coping mechanism. Normal. You know, you wake up, you do your hygiene, you understand, get ready to go work, whatever, normal. You know, in a scenario. So, I don't know what happens if you came on now, we have tendency, like amnesia with certain things. So I'm saying, because right now, I understand the Christian community, and those people in their lifestyle, they keep to themselves, right? But still, I believe in heterosexuality, in procreation, right? That's my desire, right? But I come debate about that this afternoon. See? But I'm talking about differently. But I see our students, they have politicians that pathological liars go around. I know elsewhere, elsewhere, right? Different international, whatever. But came on now, I see it now, lately. I see it lately now, right? Almost a year now, right? Instead of 90% of the candidates, they say they'll go for decriminalize of it, right? Except one leader, in my opinion, by the vote for, but I call her a thing. But she against it, with her religion, whatever, right? Whatever, that one, that pass, right? That bridge on the water. The point I'm selling, I don't know what happened. Was a thing like with that, you know? Was a frantic towards that. So I think, but so like, I was thinking about dependence, like a physician say, that pain or whatever, right? So the world is recognized, it's a norm, right? I don't care, I don't beg for a friend, you understand? That is opposite, but differently, came on the wake up and our lives were going on. 5 days the cruise arrived, right? Who knows that next surge COVID, may spike, you never know. Can't be complacent, sir. Sanitize, do normal routine, you can't go wrong. But these politicians, they get that figured out, usually. So that ABC, both two, done nothing. Nada. I don't know the whole kick up about it. Usually. Right?
Yeah.
But I expressed myself today. Yes, these are like 1 hour hell of work. That was it. But I need to go full time though. Yeah, I'm off this though.
Yeah, man. Cool.
What
time, man. What time? All right. Well, with that, Mr. Fox, we take the break. Is that the plan? And then when we come back, we'll continue. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP. Following a successful and decorated shipping and military career, Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP, returned back to Cayman. In 1953, an enterprising Captain Keith began a small retail grocery business in Watering Place. The entrepreneurial spirit he developed 20 years prior while working in the family-owned soft drink factory at Cotton Tree Bay would shine through, turning the grocery business into Tibmart Supermarket in 1974, introducing gift stamps for purchases and pioneering self-service shopping in Cayman. Keith Tibbetts was fond of saying, "They stocked everything to take you from the cradle to the grave." Captain Keith's entrepreneurial efforts stretched far, and he began landing cars by pontoons in 1955. He also owned and operated the island's first rock crusher and started commercial farming on the bluff. He then opened a gas station in 1955, served as Cayman Airways agent until 1980. and in 1975 was appointed agent with Red Carpet Airlines, part owned by his brother Linton. He also operated a sub-post office, taught local men carpentry, built 12 houses, and sold them to young seamen, assembled a steel staircase, and built the platform for the stratoscopic antenna for cable wireless at Stake Bay, worked as an agent for Modern General Insurance Company, operated Skipper's Lodge Guest House, Kesson Rent-A-Car, served as an agent for Thompson Shipping Company, and owned and operated a gift shop at the Brack Reef Hotel. This was part 6 of a special Sister Islands vignette series dedicated to Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts.
I'll be back. I've got 22 more days.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Come join the viewing party for the 70th edition of the International Miss World Pageant live from Puerto Rico. Wednesday, March 16th at 6 p.m. Carew, Camana Bay. Hosted by the Miss World Cayman Islands Committee. Meet our past Miss World Queens and learn more about the Miss World Cayman Pageant and Girl Power Cayman. All are invited. Join us at the Miss World viewing party, Carew, Wednesday, March 16th at 6 p.m. See you there.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway, eat fresh.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 2 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine, free pickup and delivery services available. Call Puritan Cleaners, 949-7104. Also ask about our in-house discounts. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The Ministry of Education invites all eligible Caymanians to apply for an Education Council Local Scholarship for the 2022-2023 academic year. To apply for a local scholarship or learn more about the various scholarship offerings, please visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Saturday, April 30th, 2022.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And honored once again to continue our partnership with the National Gallery. And if you haven't been in a while, you should go down. Even if there's an event that is able to sponsored and supported by the gallery, like last Tuesday as part of one of Women Month, Ms. Renata had a wonderful, 1 billion rising, as it were. A phenomenal evening. Or if you're like some of us, you need a reprieve from daily life and you want to venture through the halls and look at the great collections. If you just want to sit outside and explore the labyrinth. Hey, not a maze, okay? It's not a maze. Well, that's my aim too, and our intern, curatorial intern, would it be? Ms. Daniela? Ladies, thank you very much. I think sometimes we don't appreciate the true essence of life unless and until we're willing to look through the lens of another and to see things from a different perspective. Sometimes even just sitting in a seat that's unfamiliar to you, whether in church, in a theater, or if you're used to driving, try sitting in the back seat for a minute. You get to appreciate life. So, Miss Maya, good afternoon and welcome. Good to see you again.
Yes, thanks for having us again.
And to you, Miss Daniela, welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. It's my first time. A little nervous, but I'm happy to be here.
Trust me, man, I'm nervous every day. A microphone, a captive audience, and not a political year. Jeez. I'm just kidding. But art sometimes, as we talk about the National Collection in particular, there are those of us who approach it with a great sense of vibrancy. We're excited about it. It's nothing more than just an opportunity to learn. Then there are those of us who come with a refined sense of knowledge, at least in our own minds, as we approach. Can you see the lighting and the brushstrokes? Look at how, it looks good. No, it doesn't look good. It's no, that's just in the eye of the beholder. It's a genuine appreciation for this production.
Yeah, I mean, well, I liked what you said about that idea of stepping into someone else's shoes, because it really is all about perspective, right? And I think anybody can appreciate a different perspective, whether they are, well, maybe some people more than but I mean, anybody can have that experience, whether they are someone who, has a long history of being involved with culture and the arts and is approaching it from a more intellectual or contextual standpoint, and then there are people who just go for the joy of it, and then there are people who have kind of been dragged by a friend, and this isn't something that they would normally do. But I think we can all benefit from being in a space where you're looking at the experience of culture in your community or someone's personal experience from a different perspective than you normally would.
Yeah, if I might, and certainly Ms. Daniel, I don't want you to feel any more nervous than sometimes it is. And we just have a conversation amongst friends. You have the great protector and provider, Miss Maya, here as your chaperone.
I will take no credit. Danielle is amazing. She does not need me.
There you go. Well, that makes my next comment even much more. You guys are empowered, people who understand the perspective and who, through, your passion, you're sharing an invitation for people to embrace what we have here. There are many places where the National Gallery is almost inaccessible to most, especially the budding artists. And here we have a facility that's phenomenal, that is open almost every day in a sense, and through even your virtual stuff is. But yet, we don't always take time. Partly because maybe the perception, partly because we don't think that we have to make that a priority today. We can get to that later. And then 10 years from now, I haven't been there. It's kind of like visiting Cayman Brack. We always wanted to go, but until we go, we never go, right? If I could then, Ms. Daniela, from your perspective, as you assist, as you walk through the halls, as you see the collections, anything that immediately strikes you as to what you see there hanging, as to what you see on display, as you see in the collections?
For me, it's like the experience changes every day. Like really, you can see the paintings a million times and then still find something new that you hadn't really noticed before. And I think what you touched on earlier about sometimes people getting a little bit intimidated at the prospect of having to kind of understand art isn't really, it isn't necessary. Sometimes it is as clear as you said. Well, I just love the colors that they use.
Yeah.
And that's a perfectly reasonable way to interact with art. And I'd say that the experience changes every single time you see a work on screen to in person, at showing it to someone else. And I didn't notice it had this little detail. Thanks for pointing it out. And I get to experience that with visitors coming in every day, talking to them. So that's always good fun.
Once I was at a gallery and I said, I didn't notice that. And the guy said, sorry. And he wiped it off. That's just a spot, yeah. I'm just kidding. No, but I say that partly to jest, but you see it, and every day there's something new about it. You get to see it because you don't see it at the exact same second every day. And the days change, so it may be the lighting, but it's also your consciousness. And I think this is where having the gallery successful is where from Daniel's perspective. We shouldn't pass so much and leave it to chance.
Yeah, and I think, of course, we understand that, many people are very busy or they have, other demands on their time. And, making the time to come into the gallery frequently might not be on the top of their list. And that's okay, right? But I think for us, it's really important to ensure that the space is accessible for when people do have that time to come, or for people who are regular visitors. And accessibility also includes obviously making our collection as accessible as possible, but also making sure that we are open to such a range of people. There's so many different people in our community, and that includes, visitors, locals, people with differing needs, everything, right? So accessibility is a huge part of what we do, and we've really taken that into account with this new exhibition that we have, which is called the People's Collection. And it's really about understanding the National Collection as not something that belongs to the National Gallery, but something that belongs to the people of the Cayman Islands. And so it's really all about opening up that collection to be on show. Between the People's Collection and our National Collection show, which is called Saltwater in Their Veins, we have more of the National Collection on exhibition now than we ever have. So this is really a perfect time for people to make that time to come and see it and really appreciate the incredible art and culture that is available in Cayman by local artists.
And I think, Danielle, from that idea, you get to see, as an example, the National Archive has a wonderful collection, the National Museum, but oftentimes you don't get to see everything, and you probably want to see a fraction of it. But here we have in the halls hanging, whether through specific exhibitions they have or a specific time dedicated to what you have now, a chance for the wider community to appreciate the emerging scene, the historical context, but the cultural significance, because this will now capture a recorded point in time from a perspective that a century from now, if properly preserved and curated, can tell a story. Just like for you then, and is it that we see art and art gallery memberships and exhibitions something that is for a certain sector, the older retired person with time on their hands, to the aspiring art critic, to that student who's studying fine arts? How do you see it?
Well, I think it's important to provide the different access points because, people just won't feel comfortable interacting with the space in the same way. So we have the catalogs, the physical catalogs that you're able to take home with you and kind of spark curiosity in that sense. And then I have a whole list of things that we do. We have
you can't see it if you're listening to the radio, but she's got a list in front of her.
Indexed is by volume.
Yes.
Catalog is alphabetical size. I think I even see it color coded.
Yes. Highlighted and everything. We have 8 360 virtual exhibition experiences at the moment, 2 digital community exhibitions in response to lockdown, artist interview series titled Artist Talks, collections online project. So things like that, you're able to see them at your own pace. Things that might be a little bit more easily digestible, like social media educational campaigns. The one we titled Know Your Collection, where we educate a little bit on the collection. We're thinking about expanding that as well to provide more in-depth information about specific works. And I think it's just a matter of providing as many access points as we can, because I think the hurdle will always be there, where people kind of have this idea of the gallery space as, you know, separate. It's a separate space, kind of like a special occasion, maybe even if you go to the gallery, and it's our priority to try to blur that line as much as possible and make it as easy to come in and not even visit all the works right away. We're offering the wellness program as well, so where you can come and take meditation sessions, and for the last exhibition, tours of our garden. So it's this pandemic has brought about a lot of change, not a lot of it good, but the good thing that it kind of did spark in not just the National Gallery here, but museums all over the world, was that we had to really reconsider what our purpose was to the community. And that meant widening it, really, to provide as much as we could for the community.
Well, I'm glad you shared that, because on a personal level, I mean, it's a space that, you know, but for the last 2 years I embrace frequently. Just stop and it's accessible. But it was also a place to recharge and to step away. Libraries are probably the only other place that makes you feel a sense of purpose. You know, you're surrounded by books, therefore, you know, by osmosis you become knowledgeable, right? Is that how it works? No?
I hope so.
Me too. But here's the gallery. I mean, it's probably on the path for many of us at some point in time, going in and coming. But as we shared, our priorities sometimes shift, and these last 2 years have been challenging in many respects. And I think for too many, we don't see the importance of stepping back, taking a deep breath. I think the gallery has been phenomenally responsive in saying, you know, we have wellness, we have a space that we can offer up other activities to give people the time. I use the word fellowship, some say congregate, but to reconnect, Ms. Maya.
Yeah, I think to kind of build on what Daniela said, you know, the gallery space, it's really all about thinking about the different uses and purposes of what art museums are. Yes, they are definitely places where there are beautiful aesthetic objects on display. And you mentioned, you know, people who are maybe, you know, retired or looking for other activities to do, sort of thing. And it's amazing space for that too, in terms of, you know, continuing your learning or just experiencing something aesthetic. But you also have opportunities through that space to educate. So obviously, you know, I am part of the education department, and so it's, you know, I think about the uses that school students can have from exhibitions. So we've actually worked with math teachers in the community to create these math questions that students can do when they come into the space. So, you know, that might be something like a gallery wall is 5 feet wide and a curator needs to hang 3 paintings of a certain size. You know, calculate the percentage of whatever between that kind of question, right? So I think there's lots of different ways to envision what an art museum space is. You also mentioned wellness and a space of stillness and a space of quiet. And that goes with what Daniela said about re-envisioning art museums as community spaces. So more than just a space where objects are on display, it's really a space of use. The intention is really for people to come in and be able to use the space in a way that suits their goals, their daily life, their education, syllabi, or whatever it is, right? So it's just about expanding our perception of what art museums are and then trying to find ways to make it new and exciting every day as professionals in the industry.
I think one thing with this one, and I've seen a few across, you know, different jurisdictions, but maybe it's the affinity you have for your own, you know. But here's a space that allows you to appreciate how noisy the world is, how much everything is lost, and how much, you know, it's so important for you as a person to be able to step back and enjoy a bit of peace and quiet that you don't get. You know, that's why some of us may prefer to study at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. But even that now, windows open or not, AC on or not, there's still a lot of noise. You know, from the surrounding neighborhood, the traffic, the fact that people may know that you're up and about. You know, perhaps why libraries are so appealing for some, because it's not offensive to tell someone, shh, you're in a library. You know, well, at least it wasn't half too long ago. But in the gallery, there's a sense of respect and reverence, but there's also a sense of, you know, rejuvenation. So as we come back from this break, maybe we can share with us some of the perspective of, some of the things in the collection, the People's Collection. Talk maybe about some of the wellness programs and other things, and get people to appreciate that in this time, especially now, with all the negative things that are going on, all of the turmoil, all of the sense of angst that we may feel, it's a good way to reconnect and recharge, and maybe just feel a sense of renewal. All right, we're going to pause and take a break, and when we come back, more talk today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Attention parents and guardians. Any child who is 5 years old by 31st August must be enrolled in an approved educational program, including government, private, or homeschooling program. Registration for the 2022-23 academic year begins on 1st April. Applications received before 1st April will not be considered. Detailed students' registration guidelines and forms are available on the Department of Education Services website at www.schools.edu.ky or by emailing edu.registration@gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And I'm glad to have the opportunity to not just proudly, showcase the National Gallery and particularly the People's Collection, but to appreciate that through this at this time in a community such as this, that we have much to celebrate, and it's a wonderful time to be alive in human history, despite the political despots, the economic, terrorists that we have, and all other things. But I think art is that gratifying, unifying space. Ms. Maya Matu, together with Daniela, the curator intern at the National Gallery, I think we get to appreciate that true life and a healthy sense of love, that agape love that we have for each other. We can really embrace, learn as we laugh. Right, Ms. Maya?
Yeah. I think there is a lot going on in the world, right?
Nah.
Not that there ever isn't a lot going on, but you know, obviously the past couple years have been full of so much turmoil and have made a lot of us kind of sit back and reevaluate, sometimes not in the most positive ways. But, I mean, art can be a great vehicle for, one, processing those feelings, whether that's through creating work or whether that's through just seeing someone else's work. And we talked about perspective earlier and just, you know, experiencing an event, whether it's the pandemic or, you know, social rights movements or whatever it is, through the lens of someone else. So, for example, with our biennial show that we had a couple months back, that show was really about exploring some of these really major world events that have happened over the last 2 years. And a lot of people would come into that space, and it was quite a heavy show in a lot of ways. But it was so valuable to see someone else's experience of the same event, right? And sometimes that can be an intense experience, and sometimes it can be one that is just actually takes a lot off of your shoulders because you know that someone else is feeling in a similar way as you, right? So yeah, I think art is a fantastic way and always has been for understanding some of the not so great things in life and some of the very great things in life. And reframing the not great things into great things.
Without revising history. You know, it's reframing it, but then from that perspective, I mean, art gives you a chance to look at things, to have a conversation. It's a great teaching tool. Many of us are visual learners, and the teacher who will use the space to teach math, you know, not just creating a word problem that gives a child a chance to see things in a perspective, but the teacher who may want to also use it for English instruction, who may see the social commentary in their geography or social studies classes. Daniela, for the collection as it is now, and the People's Collection in particular, are there particular pieces as the intern that you look at and you make you question existence and life and get, or you look at it and go, man, a 5-year-old could have done that, you know? I mean, there those of us who do that. I look at some of Picasso's pieces and I go, insightful. And then I look at Dali's pieces and go, really? You know, this is worth that much? Yeah, and more. It's a matter of perspective, right?
Well, I think, taking in the exhibition space as a whole, the area in the middle, really, it serves as a snapshot of the collection as a whole, and I think it's just taking everything in that room, that and taking in all the diversity that we really kind of was a priority to show in that room is what is really impactful to me, just because it's so many individual perceptions and understandings of the world. Like that's what it is, right? And everyone uses different techniques and so many different mediums, and we have artists under 25 right next to artists who are like Bendel Heights, very established, and and artists who don't really touch paint and their digital prints, and others who work whose work might be a little bit more labor intensive because they're using Caymanite and things like that. So I think it's just the experience of being in that room that really helps me just understand how important as an outlet it is to people.
And I'm glad you referenced Bendel, because I think for those who know him, and you know, maybe he may not see himself inside, and maybe the wider community does need it, but to me, he is the Renaissance. He is the epitome of art. He is consistently, I mean, just strive. And maybe one day the recognition will come, just like the greats that we celebrate now. But probably in their day, centuries ago, just looked at and say, you can see their mamas going, boy, why don't you get a job? Go paint a house or something. It probably was the same thing for them.
Yeah, well, that is so frequently the case, right? Yeah. Where, you know, some of the artists that are so good and are so good at representing this community or their experience of this community and really resonating with people, very frequently don't see themselves in that light. You know, people like Bendel, people like Miss Lassie. These are people who, you know, if you spoke to them, they wouldn't necessarily call themselves, you know, these Renaissance artists or anything. They wouldn't claim that title for themselves. But they have done so much to express what Caymanian culture is, the daily lives of people in this community. For Bendel, obviously, he started working with more sort of realism and representational work, and kind of moved throughout his career to doing expressionism, and most people will know him for his abstract work.
Yeah.
So with him, he's really capturing feelings, right? Versus, iconic images of maybe a catboat or, a specific type of tree. So, there are so many artists in our community who have represented the kind of physical objects that showcase what Cayman is, and then people who have also represented just a feeling of what this place is. And both of those have a space, but many of the artists would not say that they have done that, right? So they've just done the work, and that's the main thing, right?
I think that's interesting when you look at, say, Bendel and Miss Lassie. Just me as a casual observer, here's Bendel, who always wanted to be an artist, who always dabbled, who always had this, and that's been his passion. And thankfully, with, I'm sure, the great sacrifice of family and himself, he's been able to persevere. Then Miss Lassie, as an intuitive, comes to it later in life after a different sort of approach, right? When I think of that staying power, it's very much like that individual who wants to excel, who's practicing at that sport, because one day wants to compete, professionally, wants to be that thing, whether they succeed or not, they're consistently dedicated. And then, he'll forgive me because I will call it a past Allison's son, Davy with his glass sculpture out front. When I first heard about him studying and him working, and I'm thinking, to see the use of glass, now for this to be so prominently displayed at the entry, that to me is as iconic as the Washington Monument, as the Sixtine Chapel, as the Louvre, because even though it's not in scale comparable to those, to me in importance, it's as great. Yeah.
There are so many different pathways to, I was going to say the word success, but that's such a, that word can mean many things.
Yeah.
So there are many different pathways to being in the space that you want to be in as an artist, or surpassing that. Obviously, you talked about Davin Ebanks. Davin's path has been very different from Bendel's, has been very different from Miss Lassie's, and from, whatever other artists in the community. And I think that's one of the things that we try to explain to people who are prospective artists or want to go into creative industries, is that you don't have to follow one set path in order to, create things of value to you or to the community, right? You can approach it from so many different angles, and sometimes that makes it harder. You say that to someone, they're like, okay, well, what do I do? But yeah, there's no set path for any of this.
And I think too, what I'm hoping for with this discussion, and especially with the People's Collection, that those, if I use the term incorrectly, those burden artists, those who want, they can look to the Benders and the like, and know that through persistence, that dogged determination, they can get to that path. But they can also appreciate that there are many who, like the Ali Bankses and the like, the Ray Bankers, who have to have, at one point, the day job to pay the bills in order to be able to pursue the passion. And at some point, they'll be able to embrace that as their full-time vocation. Many of our friends who've come from, say, Canada specifically, who've come here and they've made not just a wonderful living, but a great life, pursuing their passion as a creative and leaving behind the corporate world at 9 to 5. Now they're working, 24/7. Probably making less, but in terms of passion and, I guess a sense of fulfillment, they're much better off. So this collection, when you talk too much before you come on here, you shouldn't talk as much. So this gives us a chance to value. As we close the discussion, though, what would you want to say to our listeners and to be a part of what the Gala has to offer?
Yes, so the People's Collection is up until the 26th of May. Am I correct, Daniela? Yes, 26th of May. We have a lot of programming that's going to be going along with this show. So do check out our website, nationalgallery.org.ky/what's on. That's where you'll find the most up-to-date calendars. So we are doing lunchtime tours that are free. We have them in English and in Spanish. So again, thinking about accessibility for different communities. We also have QR codes on all of the labels. So if you are not someone who enjoys reading that much, you can scan those QR codes and listen to the audio guides with each of the artworks and the main sectionals in the show. Obviously, our admission is free, so you are welcome to just drop into the gallery anytime during our opening hours, which are 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday. And yeah, just engage with us, and we are happy to answer any questions as a team on site.
And if you haven't been there in a while, it's worth a visit. If you haven't been there ever, it's a must-do on your list, I think.
Yes, if you haven't been there ever, now really is it's a great time. I think, well, Maya mentioned at the beginning, we have 136 works on site, which I think is the most we've ever had, along with the collection upstairs. So it's a really good snapshot of what the National Collection of the National Gallery is. So yeah, it's a great opportunity. If you have been here before, the collection pieces upstairs rotate, so it won't look the same next time you come either way. So I really encourage everyone to go. We also encourage you all to follow our Instagram page, where we post a lot of updates. Our Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok page, it's at NATGAL Cayman. That's it.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you guys. And I think as people listen, they start to appreciate that for a relatively small place in terms of a country, population, geography, we have invaluable, resources that many of us really need to appreciate again for the first time. So, Ms. Maya, thanks. Ms. Daniela, likewise. And hopefully we have continued dialogue as the weeks and months unfold.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
I'm going to pause and take a break. And when we come back, well, Paula Carl will answer the phone. And if you have a question about music, he'll say wait till Susan returns. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Department of Commerce's Head of Compliance and Enforcement will be providing a key update session at the upcoming AML seminar for the real estate industry, says seminar organizers. The AML Risk Management Seminar for Realtors and Developers will be held at the Grand Cayman Marriott on Monday, March 21st. In international news, a suspected drug lord whose arrest sparked clashes in northeastern Mexico has been deported to the U.S. Juan Gerardo Trevino, also known as El Huevo or the Egg, was captured at dawn on Monday by Mexican authorities. A violent gunfight between the military and gang members ensued in Nuevo Laredo, a city on the Mexico-U.S. border. A U.S. citizen and on a wanted list, he is facing drug trafficking and money laundering charges there. UK insurance company Lloyd's of London has fined a member firm £1 million due to some male managers' heavy drinking, initiation games and sexual remarks about female staff. Atrium underwriters admitted charges relating to bullying and misconduct during annual Boys' Night Out. Some of the inappropriate behavior was led, participated in and condoned by two senior leaders Lloyd's found. Atrium said it accepted the ruling, was sorry for the hurt caused, and would ensure it never happened again. Under ex-Governor Andrew Cuomo, New York's health agency undercounted at least 4,100 COVID-related nursing home deaths, according to a state audit. The New York Health Department misled the public, said State Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli in his 58-page report. Mr. Cuomo last year admitted to a delay in reporting, but did not apologize. The politician, a Democrat, resigned in August after an inquiry found he sexually harassed multiple women. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today.
but I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us as we have a remainder of the program with some open line, and you can call and share a thought with us. There may be a question you've been wanting to ask. There may be a comment that you think needs to be aired. There may be some clarification. And sometimes what we say isn't intended to be critical, but it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. We can be constructive, at least in listening. In 949-8037, 949-8037. Toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Now, what do you think is going to happen next week, next year, tomorrow? Oh, well, many ask the question and they give great analysis through considered perspective and insight. And some will say it's like flipping a coin. You just don't know. Well, it isn't so much about looking into a crystal ball. It's about, planning and preparation. As we go to the phones, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Ebanks. How you doing, man?
Well, come, my friend. Good afternoon to you. How are you?
Never better, man. We're living in paradise. Everything is perfect, right? Nothing to complain
man.
No stress.
If I didn't know any better, I would say you in East End or Cayman back, but I won't go that far. Living in paradise, no stress. What? You must be in East End.
In Ireland, man.
Are you off with the back of ski?
No, I heard you say something earlier that I really couldn't sleep tonight if I didn't correct this, man, because this has been laying on my heart for 2 hours now, so I gotta get it out,
Go right ahead, man.
I don't know, man. It's Bill Murray is an awesome actor.
Mm-hmm.
It was Bill Murray who starred in Groundhog Day.
Was it Chevy Chase?
It wasn't Chevy Chase.
Jeez.
He's also a great actor as well.
Man.
But, for posterity, I just have to set the record straight.
I appreciate that. This is why,
really,
one of the few things I thought I knew, in terms of television viewing, but Chevy Chase did, he must have, Caddyshack. Was that him?
Yep. Bill Murray and, I think they were both in that, but
okay.
Bill Murray again.
So who did Blues Brothers?
John Belushi.
John Belushi.
Yeah.
Not Jim, but John. Okay.
Jim Belushi. It was the older one.
The older one?
Jim Belushi.
All right.
Yeah, Jim Belushi.
Yeah. So Groundhog Day was Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, because most people only know him from Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah, not the old one anyway.
Not
the original one.
You mean there's more than one? There's only one.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you have a chance to see the new Batman movie, oh my God, that's awesome.
Is it? Okay, but
and I think it's gone, but the one that was just on with called Murder on the Nile. Oh my God, what a beautiful movie! A real murder mystery drama, like going back to the 50s movie style,
Is that sort of like one of the Christie novels? In a sense?
Yeah, well, it's a similar type.
Murder on the Orient Express and like.
And I only went to see Gal Gadot, the star, but those.
Thanks for being honest, man.
Yeah, man. I even bought 2 drinks. Life is perfect, man. Nothing to complain about.
So Murder on the Nile. So now.
It's like Manowlins and Johnny Cake, man. Every day. That's life in Cayman.
But you had Manowlins and Johnny Cake recently? Wow.
If I did, my mouth probably still be full.
Jeez. Hey. But in sharing that, I think this is where, when we look at Cayman, it's so unfortunate that the things that brought us joy, the sort of the comfort foods that we knew, right? A good piece of hot Johnny Cake from the oven was heaven, right? But how many of us know how to make it, and when things are being served and they're being termed in a phrase that we don't understand and passed off as a thing that is supposed to be indicative of who we are. Why don't we, like you just did, and I appreciate it, make the correction, because I thought, it was, charity is in that one. So we need to get that place where we embrace it, we celebrate it, but we also ensure that it's authentic, right?
Yep. Well, people are afraid to correct.
Yeah.
Correct. You can call it a mistake initially.
Yeah.
But a mistake, if you're not corrected, becomes a non-truth, becomes a lie, and then guess what? The lie becomes the fact. The lie becomes what's accepted in history.
How many times? Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, that's it.
Yeah. How many times? I mean, we've heard deliberate attempts at revising history, where the author tries to paint something so that it reflects positively on that person, or maybe on occasion paint something in a negative light, so that they have to, and the truth is the truth, right? But until and unless it's corrected and preserved and respected for what it is, it becomes something that, like anything else, it's a commodity that is open to the highest bidder, or the one with the greatest influence.
Exactly. And I know you and your good family, and how you were raised, but imagine the story that's accepted as truth now that Caymanians don't like to work in tourism. What was it that raised you and your family? Wasn't tourism?
My friend, if it wasn't for that, well, but this is where, and to the gentleman who was one of our guests earlier, I heard this often, Cayman time, meaning that it happened when it happened is late. That's not the case, not just because of the seafaring heritage where they told you that the boat was casting off at a certain time, and they were ready to go long before that. We were raised up that if I said to you, I'm coming to check you 1 o'clock, it wasn't 1 minute past, it was probably 10, 15 minutes at the least beforehand, right? And not because we were going anywhere in particular, or the sermon was starting or the movie was starting, it was just out of a respect, right? And we become too casual with certain things. We become a little too complacent with other things.
Well, I don't know, the time one, I kind of got to agree with the time. When the time thing has slipped us ever since we got all these digital clocks and phones.
Yeah.
We going by them, but you remember how West Bay, we used to just look at the sun, That's why West Bay got to kind of squint in the eye, that's from looking at the sun all their life,
We just knew the time, and we knew what it was, But it comes to a sense of confidence in who we are, and a sense of a healthy respect for what is important, all right? And the more we are willing to embrace something that is of a lesser value, a lesser, quality, the lesser that we are. And it's not about...
And then it's presented as the standard for Cayman.
Yeah, well, it is... you think of little shows to enjoy watching. No, he probably did other movies, but Billy Crystal. I remember one of the latest one he did was it Bette Midler, and he was they were the grandparents, and their daughter and her husband were raising their children in a certain way that they couldn't be, corrected and directed, and everybody got a participation trophy for just showing up.
Yeah, sounds like the movie Arthur as well. But I tell you what, I'm sure you got some important people to call and listen. But listen, if you have a chance to get some of those young kids from the youth parliament as guests, especially during the Easter break, I think that'd be a nice thing to hear. As teens, as young people, how they see the issues that they debated this month. But lots of cool things around, man.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, because hopefully people will be able to watch the repeat of it, on CIG TV.
Oh, but how long can they hear Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker?
But we've always had that partnership of having them on sometimes before as they talk about it, but always after, and that is something that we will do.
Look forward to that.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that public reminder. But that is on the workings as we get the students on board and showcase it. But thank you for that correction there, man. And
no problem, man. I just saved myself some sleep tonight. So
there you go.
And then I'll go watch it again. All right, take care, man.
All the best to you, man. All the best. They call it lose some of the films way back when where there was a bit of enjoyment in watching them. Some would share that what is now probably classed as foreign film. Not quite sure how that worked. That's like in the Cayman context. We seem to differentiate between imports and domestics when it comes to automobiles. I'm not sure there's a manufacturing plant anywhere in any of our districts, but maybe there's one that sprung up overnight. We'll pause and take a break. 949-8837. Toll free with the compliments of Flow if you want to call and share a thought. 1-800-534-8255. And let's see, through each other's sort of perspective, if we can gain a greater sense of understanding. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good.
Wow.
Sensational. Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. This year, a new rule was placed on fishing for grouper that says no one can fish for nass or grouper anywhere in Cayman from December 1st to April 30th while they're spawning. There is also no fishing allowed at all for any kinds of fish in the spawning zones and no scuba diving there either. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my dad taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. It's open line here on Talk Today as we go to the phones. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, afternoon, Sterling.
Afternoon. How are you today?
3 weeks ago, I went to the agriculture department to buy some poor mix. You know, I'm a backyard farmer and also my nephew, so the two of us went.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and he asked for two funnels of the pro mix.
Mm-hmm.
And the people told him that you got to have a commercial license to buy this. This is for the commercial farmers. Which something I could not understand. So, you know, I don't know if you could find out something about what's happening there, because it looked like the backyard farmer doesn't mean anything.
I know at one point when they were assisting farmers after the last weather system, they wanted to demonstrate that they were licensing. Now, whether you need that in order to buy the products, we can ask. We can reach out to the Department of Agriculture and find out if that's the case and let you know.
Yeah, because the backyard farmer, it should mean something too.
Mm-hmm. How many people do you think are perhaps, I won't say making that a living, but certainly, is it, from your perspective, is there a growing number of people who are getting into the backyard farming, as it were?
I don't know, but every Saturday morning I go to the farmers market and I support those people
Mm-hmm.
from the time they open.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you have a 2 or 3 grow boxes, and you just need some pro mix to go with your garden soil and stuff. And that's what they told me. I mean, that was unbelievable to me, man.
Right. Well, your point, and why I asked that, because there's a lady I have immense respect who was saying that in her circle, a lot of women, she emphasized women in particular, and given that, the month of March, we celebrate Honorable Women Month, she said a lot of them are gardening, not just for therapy, they're gardening not just to have a little extra income, because, as you get on in years, you maybe have reduced work in terms of being forced out the door. But for some, it's to put healthier foods on the table. And she was wondering, just like other jurisdictions, are there programs that we could adopt to encourage more women and farmers, encourage, and support through some assistance, whether technical, financial, otherwise, the farming initiative? And I think from what you're sharing, if we can do that, then it may mean that food security could be an issue that isn't one that threatens our national sort of security. But if you're
and Sterling, we don't have no intention of selling anything. We just want to grow for our families,
Did they tell you what the process was in order to go about offer any kind of assistance and guidance in terms of applying for the commercial license?
No, well, it's no sense to me or him I'm trying to get a commercial license, because we are not on that scale, Sterling. We're just 2 or 3 grow boxes each, and we try to grow some peppers and some.
Okay.
And we need the pro mix.
All right.
That's
So the question that we will email to the Department of Agriculture is to clarify and confirm whether or not people need a commercial license to be able to buy from them. The mix. Okay, well, maybe there's someone listening that can revert to us before the show ends at 2:30, but we will ask the question and see if we can get a definitive answer to ensure that there is some clarity, and maybe there is the commercial licensing application, maybe there is this vetting and verification process, but maybe then there's another way that can assist people like yourselves who want to get into it. I mean,
because like a year ago, right, we went there and we bought 1 each, and that was no problem. But when we went back now, that's what they told us.
All right, well, sometimes the systems change and they're not adequately conveyed to the public, nor even disseminated within the staff as to how it's to be approached. It may be that as a commercial farmer, you're entitled to purchase up to X bags. As a regular backyard farmer, maybe you can only purchase, a smaller quantity. Who knows, right? But let's ask the question.
Yeah, because
all right.
I don't think you should be penalized for being a backyard farmer.
Not at all. I mean, I had like the time when we used to call it, everybody had a little ground, but now we've really sort of modernized the language, So, the grow boxes now have replaced, the little plot, but it's all good, right? Can I ask you, if it's not too intrusive, you did allude to, but what sort of things are you able and have you thus far been growing on your property?
Well, actually, I grew it for the loop, and we bought a bunch of seeds now for some scallion, peppers, and tomatoes, and okra, and those kind of things.
Okay. And you say you do the Kalu? That's the Cayman Kalu, the small stalk greener one, not the big stalk red one?
No, not the red one at all. It's green, but it's nothing small about that because I don't know what the Pro Mix does red, but I tell you what, it makes it beautiful and big.
Okay, yeah. Because, we grew up with that other one, and it was much, if I might say, sweeter, not as bitter as tasteless as that reddish one, So I appreciate being able to know the difference, And I hope this is something that you can get resolved to your satisfaction to assist you, as you said,
Yeah, true, man. At least I need some kind of viable option or something, man.
And that's, you're helping yourself. And I don't know too many people who dig a hole, plant something, and then they come back 5 minutes later, and then they can harvest it and eat it. It takes a little while at least, right?
Right, exactly.
So feed yourself. You might become less dependent on other people and more able to help others as well, right?
Yeah, and then just think that the freshness is coming right from outside and into your kitchen,
All right. Well, this is where I think, an understanding of what is happening and a realization of how people are encountering things that may have been intended to assist, but the reality is that it's not doing it as intended, can be addressed and the corrective measures employed. Hey, thanks very much, man. Any final thoughts you want to leave with us?
No, man, if you can find out something, I'd be much appreciated,
Well, we will ask the question, and if it's one that we can relay, we will. But thank you for bringing it to the public's attention.
Yeah, man, no problem.
All right. Blessings to you.
Sure, thanks. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Let's take another call. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Mr. Sterling.
Afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Awesome. How about you, sir?
I'm good and getting better.
I like to hear that.
Okay, for your listeners, this is Clyde. I hope I can be corrected. But I think a little earlier there was some discussion about the wages or why Caymanians aren't going into tourism. I hope I can be corrected. To me, one of the main reasons would be the wages. If unless the wages have changed, it used to be like $4.50 an hour. And then your grats would make up the difference. Up to about $6 an hour. It's supposed to be your minimum wage, or $6.50, whatever it is. Yeah, I cannot blame Caymanians for not wanting to go into tourism industry. So it's starting, quote unquote, at the bottom, making $4.50 an hour, because we know that you really can't sustain yourself and your family with that, even if you make some good grat. If you go to the bank, to try and get a mortgage, your salary or your wage is $4.50 an hour, not the $6 or $6.50, including your grat. So my point is that you shouldn't be able to include the grat for your pay, but when you go to apply for a loan, then your grats are not included in your pay. So you shouldn't have your cake and eat it as well.
But as I listened to you, I'm looking at a message that someone had sent through in relation to that same point. And I don't want to read it all because I think there's some personal information, but a person indicates, made an application to a particular hospitality employer. Was told the salary was X. So let's say it's $4, right, to use your number. And thought, well, geez, $4 an hour, I got to work 10 hours for the week. I can't even buy coffee, all right?
Right.
Only to have an understanding that it's not actually, $4 an hour. It's probably more like $14 an hour or $40 an hour. I'm exaggerating. And the hours aren't, $10 or 10 hours. It's more like 100 hours for the week. And this person has shared that what the information was given to him as a prospective employee who does not need a work permit, and I read that verbatim, is significantly lower. The hours are less than his friend who told him about the job, who is, an employee who is on a work permit. So they'll be doing the same thing. The company needed another person in this area, and the reason why they're applying because this person is working a whole lot of hours, making a lot of money, but they could use the help, right? And when their friend applies, they're being told, well, we only pay this amount, and you probably mightn't get much more than these hours. So is it then that, and then we've heard this a number of times, that employers are telling one category of employee one thing, and another category something else?
That is quite possible, but I mean, we have a minimum wage law, and I want to give a big shout out to ex-Minister Tara for doing that, because even though it is still low, it was basically 100% increase. So I think at that time it was like $3.50 or $3 up to like $6.50. So that's 100% increase. So I give her a big shout out for that. But government should decide whether or not grants are included in your basic wage or it is not.
Okay. Well, and I think you
don't leave it up to the employer or the bank to tell you that no, what you earn on the side, quote unquote, is not included. If it's not included, then increase my minimum wage.
We
I think that's one of the main reasons why a lot of Caymanians are not going into the industry. And I don't blame them. And I wouldn't encourage any of my children to do it unless they're starting at the top.
Well, it's the idea that when they want to purchase, as you said, property and the like, if the banks discount that, and then they would, and that's part of the reason why I think many of you said have been discouraged from the past. But then again, I looked at the message that I read from again. The person gives an example. Like I said, there's some personal information. Gives an example where the foreign national on a work permit has been able to get a loan to purchase property because based on it, the banks were now quick to discount the gratuity portion, right? We also got a message from someone who was shared that at this particular, and I just used the hospitality sector employee, has shared that in their organization, their tips, when they collect them, whether they're the bellhop or the like, the tips go into one particular, central point, and then they're given back to them at some point. I'm not quite sure how that works, but I thought if you were given a tip, you put it in your pocket, but maybe that's not how it works, right? Not the servers and the like. And this person has shared that the employer has indicated that they're collecting, too many tips, that presumably the bank has now asked for some sort of confirmation that, you're depositing this money, can you show proof of source of funds? It's interesting. I mean, I don't know how much tips you're getting, but I thought you could, anyway.
Well, I'll give it a little personal experience. When I was in planning, so in the tower building, you had like one central mail dispatching area, and by accident, someone's pay slip came over to in our account, and I looked at it. That gardener made like $3,000 a month in grass. This is back now in the 80s.
Right.
Now, I mean, how many months he made that, I don't know. But again, my case is your grad should either be included in your wages. If they're not, they're not. If they're not, I mean, because they're supposed to be on top of what your salary is, and if the minimum wage is $6 or $6.50, whatever an hour, then then you pay that, and whatever on top is a little extra gravy.
Well, I think this is where, whether it's conscious or not, we may have done and we may still be doing things that discourage people from pursuing certain careers,
Yeah, I mean, okay, so see the construction industry.
Exactly.
Back in the 70s and 80s, the hourly wage for a common laborer, I think, was $8. That's what it seems like today.
Well, I can...
40 years later.
Yeah, I can remember during summers and some Saturdays, for a few hours, and certainly the school holidays, one of my brothers and myself, being able to go on a construction site, simply because the fellow there knew of us, knew that we were presumably, well-behaved, obedient young men that seemed to know how to conduct themselves and had a little bit of sense and a little bit of strength and could follow instructions and back blocks and mix cement and whichever, right? And, our father, appreciate him making the introduction and probably giving the assurance that these boys misbehave and don't listen carefully, we'll make sure that the corrective measures are taken, right? Well, one time the fellow said, I'm sorry, boys, but I can't hire you. Some laws come into place and say, not only age, but can't hire you. And presumably that was the issue with pensions and whatever else. I wonder if that was the intent. Who knows where my career path may have taken? Who knows where my skill sets may have been developed? Are we doing the same thing?
I want to say yes, because when I finished high school, both my parents were in the hospitality. My mother, she was in the kitchen at Galleon Beach, Royal Palms, and Beach Club. Solly, he was in Northtown.
Men are good day.
Yeah, in those days, Solly, he was making, I think he was charging each guest like $30.
Yep, $35, man.
Yeah, today they're charging what?
10, 15? Yep.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, man. That's the unfortunate thing, right? And I think this is where, when we look at it, we have the sandbar, and yet it's probably been abused and exploited by many to the expense of the country, right?
Precisely.
And we're not seeing that the wealth that is here is wealth that is being properly accessed and developed to the benefit of the country.
No, sir.
I wonder sometimes when, even now in this conversation, will people, from the politician to the other pundit, understand that this is just a question as to how we ensure that you maintain the social stability, the economic prosperity, the level of growth and development that should be indicative of an advancing economy and a developing nation. But who knows how it will be perceived now?
No, we are concerned only about development in terms of quote-unquote physical structures. Anything else? No.
Yeah.
Once we got a lot of physical structures going on, we are quote-unquote developing.
But then we complain about the lack of green spaces, the destruction of habitat for the wildlife. I mean, I said at the outset, I saw something.
Or the disappearing 7 Mile Beach.
Sorry, is there still 7 Mile Beach left now? I thought it was down to 3.5 miles, I'm not sure.
No, it was always less than 7,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only like 4.5 or something.
Yeah. But
it was always less than 7.
Yeah, it's
but
not.
Because of the road, especially at Georgetown, Cemetery was more like 7 miles, but the beach itself was always less than 7.
Right. But I mean, not even only is it disappearing, I think it's also becoming inaccessible. I mean, there are places that you walk now that I still have to question that. I mean, we could walk there and show and recognize that there were parts that were a little bit hard, but at least you could walk it. Now you have what was once beach. Unless you walk out to the Pioneer Reef, you can't get around the structure.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder, right?
Oh, no, I don't have to. I know what's going on.
You know the time of day, huh? Hey, boys. Leave it to West Beers then. But
so no, I call on the PAC government and everybody else to look at the wages, the working conditions in the hospitality industry, and that may be a good. I would say that is probably the most glaring deterrent for Caymanians entering that field.
It probably is, and as you said, I asked the question. What if there is also indiscriminate hiring practice that deliberately, seeks out or at least discourages a certain segment of society from making application?
Yes, because now again, government makes good revenue off of work permit. Ease up on those, employ more Caymanians, and introduce some form of taxation, whether it's on your income or your property or whatever.
Well,
the
deputy.
We need to stop relying so much on this consumption-based taxation, because it's only those in the lower economic strata that are footing the bill.
Yeah. Well, the Deputy Premier, Ray McEwen, had once posited the notion that perhaps if we looked at work permit fees and the neurosurgeon, the highly skilled specialists, where they're not in high supply, perhaps that work permit fee, instead of being $1 million, that's not what it is, maybe it'd be 1 cent. And the other, employees at the lower sort of skill, expertise, and experience level, perhaps they be much more expensive to acquire. Would that cause employers to reconsider the local talent that's available, and then thereby attract, high skill, sort of high value employment as we attract and hopefully lead to greater knowledge transfer? Maybe something to consider.
No, but not in my opinion. Again, you are hurting the lower economic strata of society.
But if you were to
charge them more for work permit than you would charge someone bringing in a highly skilled person.
Yeah. But his view, right? Let's say, for instance, a person who is
no. That's because they do not want to touch the salaries of those higher income earners.
Okay.
That's the long and short of it.
All right. Well.
But again, I'm a retiree, and if my pension falls into that economic strata whereby you have to pay a percentage of that, then so be it.
Yeah, man.
But the lower income persons of this island are footing the bill for the higher income earners, and they are not contributing their fair share.
Okay. Sounds like a public discussion. We should have it at a round table in a few assemble fairly soon, huh?
Oblong round square.
Yeah, a four-sided octagon.
We need to see how much better we can make life for the lower income. Say that this last budget now was for the people. We shall see, because we had a census last year. We know how many people were making X amount. Let's see how many people have moved up the ladder, the economic ladder.
Yep.
When those figures are released, and according to Minister Bryan, they're going to be their policies will be data driven. I applaud him for that. So we shall see what happens in the future.
All right. Well, sort of looking forward to that sort of discussion, because I think, like you, many of us like the whole idea of demographics and statistical analysis when it comes to population, right? One of our listeners has weighed in and saying agrees 100% with you. You're 100% accurate. So, always good. There you go, man. I didn't have to pay him. Talk to you very soon, all right?
Okay, have a good one.
Thank you. Blessings to you. And hopefully that caller will inspire many of you to have the courage to give some considered thought to your perspective and opinion, and to share it publicly, and hopefully more so as a populace, that when we listen to another perspective, even when we don't agree, we're able to listen and draw alongside and see if there's any good thing that can come of it, so that we can move forward in a positive, more productive and profound manner. And when we do agree, that we applaud it, so that it encourages others, and together we have that meaningful discourse that informs the agenda, helps to guide the political discourse and brings society to a place that as we move forward is in the very best possible way. Recognizing that, just like the seed that is planted, sometimes it has to be prepped and prepared, dried, and the grounds can't be left to follow. We have to make sure that we nurture it so that one day when the plant is ready to harvest, we have something that bears good fruit. Well, tomorrow's another day as we invite you to be a part of our discussion, and we invite you back to Talk Today right after the midday news and midday meditation. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside.